Okay, we're looking here at manipulating formulas, and we're going to do this Khan Academy module here. So let's just jump into it. The Pythagorean theorem is typically written as a squared plus b squared equals c squared, where a and b are the two shorter legs of a right triangle and c is the longest side, the hypotenuse. Rearrange the formula to solve for a. So what we want to do is end up with a formula that's just a equals blah blah blah, right? And just to give a picture of what this is, it's if you have a right triangle, oops, and you have two shorter legs, length A and length B, and then the hypotenuse is length C. Okay, so maybe you're given the hypotenuse and the side of a triangle, so then you need to find out what that side is. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So we start off with a squared, man, I don't like this, plus b squared equals c squared. Okay, and so what I do is manipulate the formula just like I always do. So I'm going to subtract b squared. Anything that's added to a, I'm going to get rid of it. And I'm going to subtract b squared from both sides. So then it gives me a squared equals c squared minus b squared. I can almost just do this with a mouse better than my scratch pad here. Okay. So then to get a by itself, instead of squaring it, I need to undo squaring it. So to undo squaring it is to square root both sides. So I square root both sides, and I get a is equal to the square root of c squared minus b squared. Well, I'm not going to write it out, so I'll just go ahead and put that into the answer. So a is equal to square root. So I think that you type it like this. Oops, square. Yeah, so square root. So you type SQRT and just like that. So let's check our answer. That's good. All right. In finance, the future value of the single sum. Okay, so FV equals that. Where R is the interest rate, present value, number of periods. Okay, so which we want to solve for R. So looking at this, let's see. I would probably first divide both sides by PV, right? And then to get rid of going to the n power, I want to undo going to the n power, which is to go to the 1 over n power. So looks like all of them are to the 1 over n power. So it's going to be FV divided by PV, right? Let's go ahead and write this down. So we have FV over PV right now to the 1 over n power is equal to what's inside the parentheses here, so 1 plus r. And then I want to solve for r, so I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. So it looks like that one right there is the one I want. Oops. What did I do wrong? Oh, it's FV. That's PV or FE. So this is the correct answer. So make sure you check that before you answer. Okay. In physics, Albert Einstein's famous formula for the mass-energy equivalence defines an object's energy in terms of mass and the speed of light. The formula is commonly written as E equals mc squared, where E is energy, m is the mass, c is the speed of light. Rearrange the formula for the speed of light. So we would divide both sides by m, you'd have E over m, and then we'd have to square root both sides, right? So we have the square root of E over m. Okay. The equation y equals 3x over 4 plus 9 has a y-intercept of that. Rearrange the equation to express x in terms of y. So we want to solve this equation for x, so we're going to move that 9 over to the other side, so we're going to subtract 9. Right, so let's just, we have So we have y minus 9 is equal to 3x over 4. Now to move the 4 over, we'd multiply both sides by 4, but what you do here is you have to multiply the whole side by 4. So we have y minus 9, and we need to put in parentheses now and say this whole thing gets multiplied by 4 is equal to 3x. And then we divide the whole side by 3, and this whole side by 3. So I could just divide that 4 by the 3. So it's going to be 4/3 times y minus 9. And then what is the equation's x-intercept? So the x-intercept is found when y is equal to 0. So that should make it easier when it's in this form to find the x-intercept. So I put in 0 for y, so I could just kind of scribble it out, right? 0 minus 9 is just negative 9. And then I have 4/3 times negative 9. So 9 divided by 3 is just 3. So I have, this is negative 3. And I have 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. So my x-intercept would be negative 12, comma 0 for y. Okay, let's just do one more. So I want to rearrange this equation for x, so I'm going to subtract 8 to the other side. I'll be y minus 8. Then I'm going to divide the whole side by 2. So I could, let's see, so y minus 8, I'm going to put it in parentheses. And then I'm going to divide that whole thing by 2. Okay, so that looks good. And then what's the x-intercept of the equation? So it's going to be y is equal to 0. So I'd be left with negative 8 divided by 2, which would be negative 4, comma 0. And that looks good.